Welcome to News with a View, a fatcatproduction.com, and that is cat spelt with a K. I'm your host, John A. Costa. Today is June 18th, 2025, and this is episode 81. Lots in the news today. Lots. I didn't even write what I'm going to talk about down because it's just so fluid. Of course, we're going to talk about the war in Iran, and that is a war between Israel and Iran. We're going to talk about the 6th Street decision, the upheld decision on health care for transgender modification of minors. Obama takes a swipe at affluent liberals. And earth-shattering. Rock band frontman declares Trump voters are not allowed at his show ever. Not now or in the future. So, we'll be discussing those huge topics today. But let me go to my favorite camera. All right. The war is still slugging on. Israel doing much of the slugging. A lot of talk on whether or not the U.S. will enter the fray. And even Trump says, no one knows what I'm going to do. No one knows. Don't even try to guess. So he's keeping that very guarded. Now, that could be either he's decided not to do anything, which would be the safest bet, or, he has something afoot, or honestly, he doesn't know what he's going to do yet, which could be the case. I hate this wire. A lot of movement of military hardware into the area, which is to be expected. Military transport and fuel transport aircraft. Also many jet fighters, long-range bombers. The Israelis would love for us to bomb those key nuclear facilities. But I don't think that's a wise move yet. Reports of Iranian aircraft flying to Oman, at least 3 of them, possibly a 4th one, flying to Oman. Whether or not this is defections, whether or not this is the last minute try to negotiate a ceasefire, who knows? President Trump has said the time for talking is over. He's not interested in talking. Because I threw a deal out there. You should have taken the deal. Now you got nothing. Now, whether or not he'll stick to that, he might turn around and he could certainly use that as a tool. Go, hey, I bombed him through Israel, our proxy, to the table. And I cleared this mess up without getting Europe involved, without, Iran threatening, the world. Though Iran has threatened the Ayatollah wherever he is being held up, and he gave over the power to other people. But he's still there. Not for long. My prediction is that he will not be there for long. The fighting, the only thing they have are, about 60 launchers left, which is potent. But the most you can get out per day, missile-wise, is maybe 10 to 15. And the minute they expose themselves, that's it. They're gone. So you're not going to see much missile action. But what they might do is send 60 over, and fill them with, nuclear material. And that would be it. That would be the death knell for Iran. It would be, they'd be totally obliterated militarily, not populace. We're trying not to, Israel is trying not to hit the populace. Because, you might win the war now, you got to win the peace. But Iran is taking a beating. For all their talk of their secret weapons and, all this nonsense that they talked about. We know where every one of their submarines are. We know where every one of their boats are. And they're just targeted. They're painted in military terms. They know where they are. And probably within 2 minutes, most of them can be neutralized. So, it's just how far do we want to go with it? Iran, the idea that you have senators now going and go, no, the Wars Power Act, you can't do anything. We don't even want ships in the area. We don't even want you shooting missiles down and stuff. Iran has been at war with the United States since 1979. Trump can end this now. And these other politicians that are trying to fight Trump on this, they're going to pay. They are going to pay a heavy price come election time for their party. And for them, the Republicans that jump on any of this nonsense, they're not going to get any type of support. And as a matter of fact, this is our chance to end Iran as a hostile threat to the world. They finance terrorism. They carry out assassination attempts against our presidents. Time for these people to exit. And, you'll have people who say, we're no better. No, we're a lot better. We're a lot better. Everything you're hearing from the left media is, hooray for Iran, boo for Trump and Israel. You see it. You see that they're actually rooting for the bad guy. It's amazing. And you got an election coming up. And as I said before, and I said yesterday, this will all be used against you. There'll be people lined up to donate money to have commercials showing the near treasonous activities of the left. And those Democrats that support them. It ain't going to be pretty, folks. 2026 is fast approaching. It's going to be July. It is fast approaching. And the Democrats' big thing so far has been no kings. No kings, no kings, no kings. We've had no kings. We've never had a king since the United States has been formed. Our Declaration of Independence, our United States Constitution makes that very clear. No kings. You might as well go out there and say, no Frosty the Snowman. Next month you're going to have no Martians. Because it all meant the same thing. That is how irrelevant the Democrats have become. A once noble party standing for family values, workers, religious freedom, and freedom. Remember, it was the Democrats who said they wanted to lock up people during COVID who would not forcibly be inoculated with the jab. Remember, they wanted to put them in camps. They arrested people, stopped you from going to church, stopped you from going shopping. Kept you in your homes, closed the schools down. You want to talk about the greatest threat to democracy was the Biden administration. And not that I blame Biden himself. He had advisors. He had people telling him. But he should have said, no, we're not doing that. He got up there on TV. Do you remember? You're all, if you don't get the jab, you're going to die horribly in the winter. You'll all be dead. Hey, children, you don't want to kill grandma and grandpa, right? If you see your neighbors having people over, call the authorities. The biggest threat to democracy was the Biden administration. Bar none. Bar none. You could say you don't like Trump. You hate him. He's everything you're against. That's fine. You could do that. He hasn't forced anyone in their homes. Hasn't forced people to take something into their body so they can continue to work. You remember how the Democrats wanted to say if you didn't get the shot, you couldn't get Social Security, or if you didn't take the jab, you couldn't go to the hospital and use your Medicare. Remember that? how soon so many people forget that. Well, come 2026, we're not going to forget that. We're going to play that in commercials. We're going to have bumper stickers. We're going to remember that. And whether you're in a friendly blue state or an unfriendly blue state, your people are going to be put under pressure. Because you all had that hive mentality. You all had that hive mentality. And we're not going to forget that. Not for a second are we going to forget that. We will have banners across road spans saying, remember, the Democrats locked you in your homes. Remember, the Democrats wanted to lock you in camps. Remember, the Democrats forced you to put whatever juice they were giving you so that you could bring food home to your family. Remember, we will remind everyone. And these are the same people that want to go back into power. Electing President Trump was just not electing President Trump. That wasn't the battle cry. The battle cry was freedom and democracy. So, okay, I'm done with that right now. Now we'll go to another topic. Clarence Thomas urged courts to end deferring to experts on gender affirmative care. And the Justice Thomas said Wednesday that courts should not defer to self-described experts on gender affirming care, suggesting it is a matter of medical uncertainty. Thomas' concurring opinion came as the Supreme Court upheld a 6-3 decision, Tennessee's ban on puberty blockers and hormone treatments for transgender minors, a ruling that could reverberate through several states that have similar laws. So, what they're basically saying is the emotional debate must be offset by the scientific facts. And the courts should just not assume that self-described experts are correct. Now, it's interesting because self-described experts could be doctors. But that's not being self-described. You are accredited. You are an expert in the field. But saying someone, well, I work with transgender children and they're, I'm an expert in it because I've had 7 of them that I've dealt with in my school. Johnny wanted to wear a dress and Susie wanted to wear a jock strap. So we said that was fine. And that makes me an expert. So, good for the Supreme Court. It was a good ruling. Now, of course, Senator Chuck Schumer, the irrelevant senator from New York, slammed the U.S. Supreme Court decision on Wednesday to uphold Tennessee's ban on transgender treatment for minors. The Supreme Court seems to have forgotten that one of their jobs is to protect the individual rights and protect individuals from being discriminated against. Well, that's true. They didn't forget that, but they also realized that you can't have a non-expert pretending they're an expert on it and trying to sway the court. So what they're saying is, next time, bring experts. Bring your science like you did with, the weather and global warming. Follow the science. You don't want to follow the science when it's inconvenient to you or contrary to your agenda, right? Then the science, no, we don't want science here. I just want, speak to Billy. Well, you're pointing to a girl. Is that Billy, the girl? Or no, that's a boy. No, that's neither a boy nor girl. This is what we're dealing with here. Has to stop. Has to stop. You got less than 5% of the population that is trying to drive the 95 to 98%. Nope. Nope, not happening. This is what a Schumer is worried about. While his state is bankrupt and crime-ridden. And his state is where you can't even walk through a train station and not get stabbed. In one of the largest cities in America. But you're worried that a minor should have the right to be able to get these medications that they don't even know. You ask them, what do you want to be? I want to be a fireman. Yeah, and then a year from now you ask them, I want to be a postman. But you're asking them to make a life decision at 7 years old or 13 years old. F you, Schumer. We have all your numbers. And I said I would be unbiased. This isn't being biased. This is being truthful. And if you're over 18 and you want to change your sex, that's cool. Go ahead. But if you were born a girl and you come to me for employment and it says a girl, I'm going to classify you as a female. And of course, a male. And you could tell me I want to be recognized as a whatever. Well, no, we have men and women here. You are a woman, you're not a man. Or you're a man, you're not a woman. So we're going to recognize you as a man. I don't want to be recognized like that. You should have to. No, I don't have to. And I shouldn't have to. Thank you. We'll keep your resume. Maybe you'll hear from us. Next. So Schumer is saying it's an awful decision. Awful. Really? Really, Chuck? It's an awful decision. Schumer accuses Republicans of trying to infringe on the rights of transgender youths. No. We're protecting them. Let them get up to 18, and if they still want to do that, line up at the doctor, pay for it, and you're all set. But this other nonsense, nope. And I think the parents of those people, of those children, need to be examined. And yes, there are some kids you could look at and go, yeah, all right. Something went that way when it should have gone that way. I agree with that. That could happen. But that's very rare. That's very rare. But again, if that person at 18 decides, this is the person I don't want to be and I want to be this other person, have at it. But I don't have to recognize you as it. I'm not forced to recognize. I do not have to indulge your fantasy. I am not required to indulge in your fantasy. All right. I'm going to try to make this a 45-minute show today because I got to edit it. I got to put a whole bunch of things in here and updating news. And plus it's Wednesday and I want to go to Socrates Station. Yesterday was card night. I rushed. By the time I got home, edited everything, my show didn't go up to 12:15, 12:30 last night. And I did very well at cards. So I usually do pretty good. But yesterday I had some good cards. Against people that had good cards too, but not as good as mine. So that's always a fun game. You know, where you're going up against someone that has really good cards and you know you got the higher hand and they're bumping you and raising you. Or the guy that's bumping you and raising you, and you're looking at him and going, liar, you got nothing. And I'm calling you out. And they go, I got a pair of threes. That's what I thought. I have a pair of fours. And then we all laugh and we have a good time. And it's a very friendly game and lots of laugh. The only thing I don't like playing there, guys, if you're listening, you should be listening to me. I hate when you play acey-deucey. That's not poker. I like 5-card draw, like 7-card roll your own, 5-card stud. My favorite, Omaha. No wild cards. None under the wild cards. No bueno. That's not poker. All right. I roll on. On Tuesday, yesterday, I'm going to take the Wayback Machine, go back. Who remembers the Wayback Machine? Sherman and Peabody? Any fractured fairy tales? Okay. Former President Barack Obama took aim at affluent liberals, saying they would be tested in some way, unlike during his presidency, warning the crowd they would have to decide what their priorities would be. Now, what the hell does that mean? What your priorities are. How about your priorities is your family, your own well-being, the community around you, the country as a whole. Why can't that all be in there? Why do I have to decide, no country, but open the border? What is he saying here? The former Democrat said during remarks in Hartford, Connecticut, that liberals felt comfortable in their righteousness during his presidency because it wasn't challenged. So, my personal space needs to be challenged. My job, my profession, my right to earn money, my right to buy a big house, my right to buy a big car. That needs to be challenged. You understand what that is? That's communism. What he's saying is that you should be poor like that guy over there who threw away his education and smoked dope. That we allowed that to happen. That Obama and his group and liberals allow that to happen. So he has nothing. And because you followed the rules and became successful, well, you must be punished for that. And you must be no better than that individual over there. That's what Obama's saying. You could be a progressive and socially conscious as you wanted, and you did not have to pay a price. That's what he said. What price should I have? Should I be stripped down? My money taken from me? My car? My home? Put in the street? Do you see how dangerous that type of thinking is? That goes against everything this country stands for. You work hard, you succeed. You want better for your children than what you had, and you might have had it great. You want it even better for them. I don't want it harder for them. I want it better for them. I don't want them to have to worry about things. The less they have to worry about things is the more creative they can become. Liberals, if you're watching, you ever think about that? That if they become so successful that they can be free to think of other things other than my next meal. How am I going to get to work? How am I going to pay for my car? How am I going to put clothes over there? How am I going to pay for my school? How am I going to do this? What Obama was speaking here was the fundamental first step of communism. Not even socialism. Of communism. I'll tell what a lot of people need to do first. You're not a victim. And you're not a victim of circumstances either. You allowed yourself to be led like sheep. You know what happened to sheep? They get slaughtered. Yeah. Wake up, liberals. If you really want to be woke, look at what your team is doing to you and what they're telling you you should be. You're successful. You should have to pay for that. Well, I did. I went to school. I worked hard. I might have had a job at night to pay for my school. And then, I got married. I took care of a home. I had a job. I went to school. I did pay a price. Oh, no, that's not good enough. You have to have that all taken away from you and live in the street like that guy who smoked dope and wouldn't go to school and dropped out in 8th grade. And he should be paid $50,000 a year by McDonald's. So he could tell you, is that barbecue sauce with that order? Yeah. 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 Don't like it? Don't like to hear the truth? It's not even an opinion. What I'm telling you is the truth. It's not being biased. It's being truthful. And if you want to have a social conscience, which everyone should, open your wallet up and give to a charity of your choice. Buy food and deliver it to a food bank. You could be successful and have a social conscience. You could do everything Obama's telling you to do. You don't have to sacrifice anything. You don't have to pay a price. You just have to pay it forward. And liberals and communists hate that. They hate fairness. They hate competitiveness. They hate successful people who do it on their own. Those are people they worry about because they can't control those people. And it all comes down to control. Again, you're sheep, and they're the dog that herds you around. Yep. Obama swipes at affluent liberals. There you go. No problem with asking those affluent liberals for what? $1.8 billion? What did Harris do with that? Oh, that's right, you don't know. They don't know what happened to that money. Right? $2026. We are going to be donating money like crazy for ad campaigns, for paper campaigns, for stickers. We're going to remind everyone Democrats almost stole our democracy. And they want to come back into power? Nope. Nope. Not on my watch. So, that is more good news for the Democrats. All right. A little off to the side entertainment news. And not the entertainer who, the famous chef that passed away in New York City. I think it was yesterday or the day before, rest in peace. Keep forgetting her name, but she had the spiky blonde hair, and she was always on the cooking channels and competitiveness and America's Worst Cooks type of thing. But she was actually a very pleasant on-air personnel, and sympathy to her family. All right, but this is about a rock band. Frontman declares Trump voters are not allowed at his shows. The lead singer of an alternative rock band, the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. I never heard of them. Not that I'm up on alternate rock bands. Told supporters of Donald Trump, they are permanently banned from his shows Saturday. So they're going to, I guess, ask who you voted for. You comfortable with that? And if you say Donald Trump, they'll go over there, get your money back. You can't come to this show. Now, I'm going to say that they really can't do that, and they'll probably be sued, but that's probably what they're looking for, to get even more advertising on there. You know, look at us. You know, we're so hip. Frontman Ronnie Winter made the declaration in a video posted to his band's official Instagram page saying, "If you voted for Donald Trump, do not come to my shows forever, not just like these 4 years." He specifically attacked Christian Trump supporters, stating, "If you're Christian and you voted for Donald Trump, shame on you. You are not allowed to come to my shows. I don't want you here. Don't come to my shows." And he later on went on to say his show is about being inclusive and allowing everyone and no one except you and you. I guess he doesn't see the contradiction in his logic. Ronnie Winter, frontman of the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. So they'll ask who you vote for before they allow you in. I wish they were playing near me so I could buy a ticket and I could go there and go, "Oh, no, I voted for Trump." Doesn't say anything on this ticket about you must sign away or anything like that, but yeah, I voted for Trump. I want to go see the show. "Oh, no, you're not allowed in there." "What do you mean I'm not allowed in here? I have a ticket. We have a contract. You put on a show. You sell the ticket. I buy the ticket. And that allows me to see the show. That's called a contract. Oh, well, I hope these guys have good lawyers, because I'd be bringing in a busload of people with Trump shirts on. And we'd all be there. Trump, 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 Trump. I'll let them go nuts. Let them attack us. How do you think that would be? Trump, 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 Trump. Or if it's an outdoor concert, go to the concert with big megaphones. Why won't you let us in? We voted for Trump. Just play that the whole time. Wouldn't that be great? And I saw this just as I was finishing up. And normally I don't read these type of things because they don't do anything for America. It's not a battle. But you have a person here that's saying, I'm going to punish you for exercising your right to vote. And now I'm going to punish you because you voted for someone. This guy couldn't be more anti-democracy than any, worse. Worse. The worst. A concert isn't a private affair either. So you people out there, well, it's his show. No, he opened the tickets up to the public. If he handed the tickets out to say, you get a ticket and you get a ticket, and no tickets are for sale. These are my invited guests, my venue. I'm not asking you for any money. Then I would say, yeah, you're not invited. You can't come. And to me, that would be bueno. What he's doing here, no bueno. So I will look up this person and I will have some words with this person online and tell him that I think he made a big mistake and maybe he should sober up, put down the pipe, whatever you're doing, and maybe kind of review what you're doing here. I mean, you'd make up a song, why Trump, or, whatever. I can make up a million songs right now. So why do what you did? Why would you persecute people? Because that is persecution. You're depriving them. All right. I'm done. Hopefully Bob in New York, and Bob, and anyone else that knows who I know Bob, and I know 3 Bobs that I worked with. Probably more when I think about it. I think I know more Johns than I do Bobs, but Bob would have to be a second very, very common name. All right, well, I'm going to say good night. I'll get this out before 5:30 tonight. Some little added Chiron comments on here, as I always do. Say a prayer. Prayer does work. Give to a charity. Charity does begin at home, but if you can do it, give to a registered charity of your choice. Check them out. Don't become a victim helping a victim. Donate to a food bank if you can do it. As I said, if 500 people once a week gave 4 cans to a food bank in a community, that's 4,000 cans of food. 4 cans of food to you might not seem consequential. Someone who doesn't have it, 4 cans of food could change their life that day. Let me think about that. And with that, I'm going to say Danielle, Paul, Chris, Rowan, Cannoli, Joey, Samantha, baby Cyrus, baby David, baby Nevaeh, baby Bet. Good night. Watch me. Listen to crazy grandpa. So, everyone, you have a good evening. Be safe. A lot of craziness going on out there. As I fade to black.